You're on mute.
That's all part of it, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so thank you, Alex. Where in the world are you right now?
In this very moment in Poland.
In Poland. Well, I'm really excited about this interview. We've got a lot to talk about. But before, like I was saying, before we go into that, why don't you just maybe share a couple sentences on Relane and the company you're building today, and then near the end of the interview, we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it.
Amazing. So, Relane is, we like to think about it as the most accessible agentic environment. Why? We deeply believe that accessibility is the next big thing for AI, and we solve it. It's literally take us 20 seconds to get our agents on your phone, and we are collecting first users in this very moment.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Cool. So I guess maybe, like I said, before we dive into Relane and all that, I find the story falls a bit flat if we don't know about the founder and their background, where they're coming from. So maybe take us back, like where are you from originally? And did you grow up in Poland? And I was reading about your background. It's fascinating. I think you did a lot of work in the Bitcoin space as well. And I know, I don't know if you know this, but I started India's first Bitcoin exchange like 13 years ago. So lots to talk about. But yeah, maybe tell us your backstory a little bit.
Amazing. So yeah, I was born in, I grew up in Poland, but then when I was 18, I moved to Spain. I studied in France, in Argentina, lived in Paris, in the UK, US, so all over the place, literally all over the place. And year and a half ago, I moved back from London to Poland because I was like, I want to spend some quality time with my family before the next big thing. So that's why, hence, I'm in Poland in this very moment. And my entire life, at the very beginning, I wanted to be a management consultant. So when I finally got my dream job being a management consultant in London, my first project was about tech transformation in big pharma, and I've fallen in love with technology. In the midst of all of that, I was working for MicroStrategy. At that point, I had nothing in common with technology. I know you're smiling because MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, all these ding ding again. But I was fluent in French, and they decided it's simpler for someone to teach them basics of SQL than French. So they teach me MicroStrategy, how to build the reporting and all this stuff, and send me to Paris. And I fall in love with technology, like deeply, truly, full-heartedly. Similar to you, I got involved with Bitcoin space very early. 2012, I believe, through a friend of mine with whom we opened a startup years later. So yeah, blockchain was there from the very beginning. I mean, started with Bitcoin, then blockchain. And I would say living in London, I fall in love with startups. So I opened my first startup together, which was all about bringing people together to like sport buddies, because I used to be a semi-professional triathlete. So I was traveling the world as a managed consultant, trying to fit in some cycling, swimming, and running practices. And I was looking for a sport buddy. So hence I came up with the idea for Together. And once I immersed into the startup world, the next one was crypto oriented. So it was Lambo Now, with the friends of mine who introduced me to Bitcoin space ages ago. It was a really cool journey because I was traveling around the world from one crypto conference to another and offering Lamborghini rides and car rental for crypto. It was super fun. But I'm not gonna lie, it kind of broke me inside. There was this one moment in on a conference in Paris, and I was sitting in Lamborghini Hurricane, and everyone just wanted something from me because I was the girl who was carrying in her purse the car keys to two Lamborghinis. I was like, everyone's like, I want to ride, I want to test it. And I remember I locked myself inside out in a car, just crying, saying, "Oh my God, I don't want it." I realized how superficial money can be and how superficial people can act around things like that. So I was like, okay, I need a break. And that was the moment when I discovered personal development. You can call it spirituality, which is a hell of a journey of itself, because I lived with native tribes in Guatemala, Amazon jungle, all this, crazy stuff, trying to find my way through, okay, who I am, why, how, and just looking for those very deeply esoteric answers to those esoteric questions. And at the same time, I got I'm literally just going very quickly for the last 15 years of my life. But then at some point, I got a phone call from Dubai saying, "Look, are you looking for a job? Because we need someone who's gonna transform Bitcoin Association from a marketing agency to a tech hub." And I was like, I'm actually pretty comfortable. I've got my job. I'm an angel investor. I'm happy. But there's this part of me with the part of the person who loves new adventures. I was like, you know what? Let me meet with the team, and I'm gonna see if I want to work with them. I met the guys. We actually met in Warsaw in Poland because there was some kind of conference happening, and I was like, okay, done with the boring stuff. Let's do it. So I joined Bitcoin Association the very same day. And then for next year, together with a marvelous human being, Jad Wahab, we were traveling around the world trying to restore the original white paper protocol, working with BSV, making sure that the nodes are larger than 2 gigabytes, introducing the SPV, so simplified payment verification, really trying to restore the Bitcoin infrastructure that it was designed exactly in the white paper. So it was a hell of a journey, wonderful one. And then at the end of it, I realized that I'm sick and tired of living two lives. It was like there were two versions of Alex. One was this tech executive, and the other one was the yoga teacher, spiritual well-being. And I was like, it doesn't feel authentic. I want to merge it. So I left Bitcoin Association, and I drove from Poland to London through Morocco, because why not? And I was like, hey, what's the next step? What the next step? And this is how True Me came to me, when I realized that I want to help people become a little bit more self-aware, because my thesis was that technology is developing so quickly, but we as humans, we need to start using it more consciously. So it's going to be to our benefit and not just to avoid pain or increase our pleasure. And I spent 2 years building True Me. And after 2 years, I hit a couple of roadblocks. One being, we started before the vibe coding appeared, and we were trying to build this entire app. It's going to be launched on App Store and Google Store. And then vibe coding came, and everything, like, why we were doing it in the first place. Then I also realized that people don't really want to download apps anymore because they're already overwhelmed. And last but not least, when I was thinking about me working with AI to increase self-awareness, I missed one very important step, which is social learning. We are social beings. Our nervous systems, in order to be regulated, we need other humans. So me working on myself just with my AI, it's gonna work to some extent, but at the end of the day, we need other human beings around us. And so I closed True Me, and I was like, I know that there is a next step, because I started realizing how, first and foremost, that not many people, we in AI bubble, we are like super deep into it, but the rest of the world not really. And I knew that there is a solution how to combine a more efficient way of using technology, not at the account of our nervous systems and our well-being. That I really do see the future of technology as something that can help us be more humans and less like super efficient, productive robot, but I allowed it to grow somehow. And just the idea to grow inside of me. And then I met Piotr, my current business partner. We met in Poznan, which is so much easier because we work, in the same room every single day, which is such an amazing change for me. I was running remote teams for 7 years, and I just got sick and tired of it. I need human beings. So we met, we started talking about how we understand technology, where we see it's going. And Piotr is a tech veteran. He's an executive who started 2 companies that IPO'd in Poland. Then one of them, he grew it within 2 years from zero to $400 million. So he really knows how to do stuff. And we realized that we see the same issues, which is accessibility. And today's AI workflows, you can build almost everything you want to speed up your work, from marketing to coding. It's almost everything is there. The model is going to get more efficient and faster, but from the perspective of what we need as a human beings today, it's all there. But it turns out that 84% of humanity have never used AI before. And why? I believe that when we think of AI and people in AI bubble, we mostly work in front of our laptops, desktops. We can use N8N on any other cloud codes on laptops, but it's very difficult to do it via your mobile phone. And then when you think about what's happening in Africa or India, they are mostly mobile phone based societies. Not many people own desktops there. So that's why there's this humongous gap in accessibility, when we don't realize that there's so many people who don't use AI because it's difficult for them to access it. And that was the thesis for Relane, which is, we do see this huge agentic friction gap, and we want to try to solve it.
And how do you go about solving it? And by the way, I'm super bullish on agents. My weekends are mostly comprised of me just tinkering with it with friends as well, and playing and just trying to see what the limits are of it. But I'm also a bit of a tech nerd. How do you get, I don't know, I guess like everyone else, excited about it or even wanting to try it?
So, and here the true me story becomes so relevant, because as I was talking to hundreds, if not thousands, people around the world about their self-awareness and their self-regulation tools they're using, right? The thing that was coming over and over again was, I'm not technical. And truth be told, it was something that my imposter syndrome was rooted on for a very long time, because I do not code. I understand basics of SQLs. I can do some basic stuff, but I'm not an engineer, right? So working in tech industry while not being engineer, I struggled with it for a very long time, especially being around amazing, tech geniuses. So this mindset of I'm not technical, and then when we think about the fact that every single human being who's using a smartphone today is far more technical than an average human being 20 years ago, when we were still using, small phones, it's almost like we cannot afford to think of ourselves as not technical being in today's world, especially with direction we are heading. So now is the question, what do we want to use technology for? And again, going outside of tech bubble, you talk to people who've got 11,000 unread emails. So they just want someone who sorts it out for them. Okay, they want a very simple tool which is going to help them optimize their calendar events. So they've got a chat with the family, and someone says, oh, let's go for pizza on Thursday at 6 p.m. And you want the event to be in the calendar, so there's going to be a reminder to everyone that they're going to go for pizza. Something, in most cases, very, very, very simple. And we both know that setting up a structure like this is super simple with agents. But again, a person who thinks that by definition thinks of themselves, I'm not technical, and is not even using a laptop, that's going to be something the step they're never going to do. So what we did with Relane is that Relane is not an app, it's a infrastructure layer. You can think about it this way. So Relane is communicating with you through your favorite communication channel. So it's going to be WhatsApp or SMS or Signal or Telegram, you name it. The application that you already know, because again, my key learning from a previous startup was that people don't like to download new apps. So hence we are using the interface that they already use and are familiar with. Because then you get also a case of, yeah, I'm going to download that new app, but by default, I'm turning off notifications. That's what majority of people do. And then, but you don't turn off notifications on WhatsApp, like by default, right? So that's a perfect way to contact them, because Relane is talking to them through their main communication channel, okay? And then what happening inside is that we are using context graph in order to make sure that first we really have the context of the user, of how they're behaving, what they're doing, who they're interacting with. And on top of that, there's another context graph which reinforces rules and guidelines, how we want the user to interact with Relane. So you can think of it a bit as assistant, but again, we like to think of it as a most accessible agentic environment that you set it up within 20 seconds. All you need to provide is your phone number and your email, and Relane is automatically sending you an SMS saying, hey, welcome, provide me with your email address. I'm going to set up your email for that. And you can ask her, what is the most important thing I need to do today? Or prepare for me a calendar for today. Or can you build for me a super simple program how I can take care of my nervous system? Or help me become more productive? Something for, again, people from tech industry, this is, I've got it already. My Clobot built it for me. But for people who by default think that they're non-technical, this is groundbreaking.
Are you able to share what you guys are? Are you guys leveraging things like OpenClaw or Claude, or is it
No.
What do you guys? Mm-hmm.
So now we are getting into but I don't want to share too much, because at the end of the day it's our IP. But we are using two context graphs. One is the brain, the second one is responsible for the rules. And our key obsession, if we can call it this way, is being a deterministic layer. Because the issue with all those agentic workflows happens that you don't know what they're gonna reply, how they're gonna act, and then you see those meme pictures like, oh, I connected Clobot to my mailbox and now I'm divorced, I don't pay taxes, I resigned from my company, but at the same time I got 10 months salary. So all those weird things, you don't know what your agent's gonna do. So we designed this very particular architecture when we slice the tasks. So we leave a very small margin for the LLM to come up with the content. To give you an example, and you can actually see it on our demo, so it's not going to be too much. But I'm asking Relane to send an email to my company informing that from 2 to 3 the server is going to be down. And Relane is sending this message to every person within the organization in the way I usually communicate with them. So the similar tone of voice, the similar structure. So we leave the meat to be developed to be suggested by LLM, but the structure is so rigid that there is not that much room for hallucination. And this is something that is very, very important to us, because really, from our worldview with Piotr is that if we want this 84% of humanity to start using AI, they want something that is secure, something that is not gonna that's that they're gonna feel comfortable using. Because at the same time, the general public is saying, yes, AI is great, but watch out, because see what's happening. The hallucination, the people getting addicted to the constant flow of information, the dopamine issues, because at the end of the day, ChatGPT is like TikTok on steroids. Like it talks to you all the time, right? So how do we make sure that this is safe for everyday users to really be as a tool that's going to enhance their productivity, but in a way that they're going to have more time to be humans, and they're not going to turn into robots that just want to push more code. Yeah, that's really
Well, that's very, very interesting. And I see on your website, I'm going to sign up for it as well, but you've got 50 people that you're taking on as
exactly.
beta testers. So that's exciting. Well, I guess help me land the plane. Where do people learn more about it? Where do people learn more about you? And yeah, and we can bring this one to a close.
So definitely check our website. We've got we opened the waitlist just a couple of days back. We've got 17 people signed up, so be quick, because this 51st user. So we are still waiting for Google certificate, so we cannot really let more people in, and we already have 50 for our closest friends. So we've got 50 places, slots left in this very moment. 37, I mean 33, I think. So really big
32.
32.
I
So
just
yeah,
signed
I
up.
believe you can cut this part off. So yeah, we've got 32 slots left, so be quick and register. Our goal is to make a rollout within, I hope, a week to those people. So that's one thing. Definitely you can reach out to me on X or LinkedIn. Yeah, and your marvelous podcast.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in, and thank you, Alex, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation.